meeting. So which is a lot of the projects that, we don't need to necessarily talk through every meeting, but are moving along. We want to give you guys all that basic information on those projects, and we'll keep that up to date. There are things we kind of, again, sort of verbalize and have a dialogue about. So we're trying to focus those on our discussion items, and then also, issues meeting to meeting, provide feedback on things we hear, and sort of move this whole process forward. So we got someone on Zoom joining us. First, always acknowledge list. There we go. So we got our agenda, just getting into introductions. So I'm Director of Planning and Research. I work alongside Director of Inclusion and Engagement, Ziting Kua, and we sort of together run these OCA meetings. You will also, on occasion, and in the room today, I've got our Director of Operations, Bob Stotes, and Director of Park Administration. I know our Executive Director is on her way, and then Katie Stevenson as well, sort of the leadership team at Olmsted. In District 2, we got wonderful Jimmy Coyle, District Supervisor, and his 4 people, Dennis Martinez and is it Ben? Did I get that right? Yeah. Ben? Okay, yeah, Ben Giuliano, 4-person. He doesn't have a photograph because he's only here this year. And we are going to need to fill that position again. So again, anyone who might want to work for the Conservancy, we're going to have openings down here in District 2. But also with the golf courses and the Arboretum, Chris Carroll runs our golf management, our golf park conditions, run by Pat McIntyre, and then Margaret Lapp, who runs our Arboretum as our curator. Also citywide, we've got our forestry manager, Mike Sawyer, our buildings guy, Charlie Tarr, and circles and plantings, Eileen Martin. And then again, we don't need to dwell on these sorts of things, but the purpose of these meetings is about representation. It's about communication. It's about engaging you guys, getting you rolled up in our stewardship and our volunteerism. And then really it's about the projects, the priority projects that we're trying to fundraise for, we're trying to design, and we're trying to construct, all tied to the 5-year plan for park improvements. And again, we're doing this across the whole city. Here we are today in District 2. And really, we just want you guys to sort of speak for your community, recruit and engage as many people as you can. So we're really having a good community conversation. So in terms of projects and discussion items, I'm going to take these a little bit out of order. I'm going to actually move the playground to the bottom of this list. But we want to, again, engage you guys in who the Conservancy is, our coordination with the city of Buffalo, and really sort of let you know all the work we do, so that you're aware and also proud of this wonderful public-private partnership we've got, which began in 2004. It involved at that time Erie County. It was a 3-way partnership on public-private parks management. In 2010, we renewed the contract. We just cut the county out, and it was just the city and the Conservancy working together on the parks. We renewed that contract in 2015, renewed it again in 2019, but that time we got it extended for 10 years with a 5-year review, which we'll be doing in 2024, and we'll be engaging you guys in that conversation. Now the big slide with all sorts of information, this is what we do. So, responsibilities of the Conservancy. We're doing obviously a lot of maintenance here. We've got the turf maintenance, the trees, the gardens, the litter pickup, graffiti removal, managing the park furnishings, keeping those in good working order, walkways with regard to snow removal and salting, court maintenance, athletic field maintenance, golf course maintenance, and golf management, as I described. Irrigation systems out there, we're maintaining those and blowing those out in the winter so they don't freeze. We also manage a contract of portable toilets, and we do equipment maintenance versus major repairs. So that changing the oil, making sure things are working properly, We handle those things, major repairs, again, it's a city effort. And then again, sort of the boundary between the city and Conservancy, the cleaning and maintenance of park facilities, Conservancy, unless again, they're operated entirely by a separate contracted vendor. So that's our role. What's the city's role? So the trash and the recycling pickup, they handle that. The landscape debris disposal contracts, and where we take all of our landscape debris, they handle that. The roads, the parking lot clearing in the summertime with the street sweeper, light pole maintenance, keeping lights on, keeping them standing up, court resurfacing, so sort of get into this sort of need to continue to resurface courts. They're on that. Roadway maintenance and repairs, roadway snow plowing and salting in the winter, pathway, any tripping hazards on pathways, broken sidewalks, responsible for that, as well like parking lot repairs, the city-owned equipment, repairs, again, prepared equipment maintenance, and the fuel contract, keeping those things gassed up, storm sewers, repairs, and the maintenance to our storm system, and also the sort of larger water bodies, dealing with DEC on those, ornamental fountains, none down in District 2, but got them in the city. The public pools, every aspect of maintenance and management with the public pools, the infrastructure, again, sort of all that stuff below ground, and all the pipes and the cords, the electricity, water, gas, sewer, repairs, structural improvements with our park facilities. So again, making those significant improvements with regard to use, operation, and safety, all the monuments and statues, everything with regard to maintenance and repairs of those, and all park security and parking enforcement is the responsibility of the city of Buffalo. And again, we're working collaboratively. We partner the Conservancy where we can, support the city in bringing in resources to handle these sorts of things, coordination and communication, and all these things. We're obviously out there in the parks and front lines. But again, we think it's important that we're able to sort of clearly communicate to the community, how we partner in this regard. A lot of words there. Now let's look at the pictures. So again, with CAZ Park, there's a lot of existing facilities out there. We've got a separate vendor relationship with the CAZENOVIA Resource Center and Library. But again, we've got the shelter building, the casino, Kosh Commons, so again, community center, ice rink and pools, that's city management. But then all the golf facilities for maintenance and front end, it's Conservancy. Outlining here, the roads, the splash pads, the courts, sort of help sort of define some of the things where the city has a larger role in the effort. And then the same thing with regard to South Park, again, a little less going on in terms of facilities, but we got Park Road, and the only unique situation is within South Park, there's 10 acres near the front entrance, that is county property run by the Buffalo and Erie County Botanical Garden Society, and they take care of, again, everything within that imaginary line within South Park. Don't have visuals for the parkways and circles, but again, roads, city, green space, Olmsted, gardens, Olmsted, light poles, city. Pretty self-explanatory. So any questions or any thoughts or any clarifications people need, again, with regard to our operations and maintenance? Yes.
I just have a question. So if it's a collaborative effort between the Conservancy and the city, does anyone from the city ever come to these meetings, and vice versa? The city has a meeting. Does anybody open forum meetings?
So we've got council member representation.
Hello, where are you? I'm from Councilmember Scanlon's office. I'm Heidi Shea.
I should have announced it at the beginning. Yeah.
All right. But then further, I would say the city and Olmsted are in pretty constant contact and conversation. Is my experience. And I know our office is on the phone with Jimmy daily, whether he likes it or not. And it's moved in with parts pretty. I would say we talk to both every single day just from a council standpoint. So
Yep. Bob, feel free to weigh in, but I know at the executive level, Stephanie is communicating monthly with the deputy director of parks. We were on the phone earlier today talking about this agenda, the agenda of all these meetings, so we coordinate, make sure we're all on the same page, and figure out what we talk about, what we say at these meetings. But I know even at the operations level, you want to speak to it. Yeah, really, at all levels, there's kind of partner conversations happening. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Any other clarifications needed, again, with regard to operations? Again, we introduced the people, we introduced the work, showed some maps, but again, it's really just about, we last meeting, we talked a little bit about our development team and their role. Operations team, we're going to work our way all around the Conservancy, sort of help people understand the sort of roles in the partnership. Oh yeah, so we'll always have this to reference back to, and appreciate your time and attention on that. Want to continue to promote the City of Buffalo Parks Master Plan. I'm Director of Planning and Research, so this is very fascinating to me. Every page and every chart and every word. But we wanted to again bring this, sort of keep this in the community's mind. It is accessible on the city's website, and we can share this, sort of direct people to it. But I certainly want to share as much of this information with the group as you can stand. But we certainly don't want to go above and beyond in terms of diving into the details. But there's a lot of great information in here, and I think a lot of opportunity for us to talk through the deep details. But again, as we continue forward on this process, like sort of get a sense of what level people want to dive into this sort of information. I can bring it to you, synthesize it. But again, it's a resource there for you. So does anyone have any sort of strong opinions about getting walked through a lot of this document, or kind of just digesting it, referencing it as it relates to projects? But again, a very monumental effort by the city completed last year. Again, just sort of there's background on the city and the park system. There's sort of information about the current park features and amenities, all detailed. Where are the playgrounds? How many acres of this? How many facilities of that? There's comparisons amongst our peer cities in terms of an analysis of what Buffalo has versus cities of similar size and demographics. And then there's all sorts of information about what were the community priorities that came out of that process, the implementation strategies, and sort of those neighborhood investment needs. So a lot of great data. You can go through it and read the 150 pages on your own. And then again, if it's of value, we'll certainly introduce aspects of it in this group. If people have strong feelings about sort of how much we want to bring this document forward versus just giving you guys the updates quarterly on our projects. Strong feelings? Yes, in the front and then go back. No, go ahead.
Recently had a ball tournament over the Hidden Diamond, CAZENOVIA. And the same day, there was a big men's club tournament. Parking was found. We know we don't want people parking on the grass. That's exactly what happened up there at the entrance to the parking area. And I don't see a lot of use of that softball diamond, or little diamond, if you will, out in the bowl.
So that's actually a great note, and identifies an issue with the last thing we just talked about. Is I didn't identify who handles event permits. For some reason, that must have been just another part of the contract, I guess, in terms of where to describe that. But I think clarification
Friday evening, all the way through Sunday.
Softball diamond and hidden diamond are two different sizes.
So they're little guys like this.
You play on 64 diamond, league, and it's different size of softball. They want to grass in the field, that's why they're playing.
So me, I think we'll bring that back to this group in terms of clarifying every detail of how events management is, because there are some facilities, again, where the Conservancy is involved in contract things, but certainly all of the athletic events organized through the city of Buffalo and their process, and the men's golf tournament, obviously we'd be aware of that, so I mean, certainly that's an opportunity.
I would say just try to avoid that conflict.
Absolutely.
Where all these two masses are. at the same time.
Yeah,
We have a tournament. There's like parking for everything.
These guys, they put their schedule in, like the fall before the start the season.
One is for golf, one is for baseball. People not see.
Oh, yeah, I should say, if we somehow can get that board on dates, so that the
exactly, yeah.
coming together.
Seemed like a great example of future improvement in that coordination. But yeah, that was an operations list, but there's obviously other aspects of coordination that I'll clarify. to get through. Thanks for bringing that up. Any other thoughts? Yeah, Stephanie, right? You had anything,
I
right?
just want to make a clarification, Brian. If you're talking about the city's master plan, that is the entire parks system, the city homestead system, substance within the city's greater system. So when you're talking about all of this information, that applies to all city parks, not just homestead.
Great point. Yes, this was an effort undertaken by the city of Buffalo for all the parks. City is responsible, with just a couple little bits of data. There's like over 1,800 acres of city-owned parkland. Olmsted Park Conservancy takes care of 850 of those acres. So a little less than half of the system of the city is that public-private partnership. But again, this is a master plan for the city, edge to edge in terms of all the parks. So a lot of good information, but a lot of information. So yes.
Brian, if I could just weigh in on your question, my personal belief would be that it's probably most helpful to address the issues that come up within specific parks as opposed to put that we have that as a reference in questions to Brian. Because I think we could spend hours and hours.
Absolutely.
to address.
Absolutely, yeah. So thinking about things to talk about today, I got through the first 2 pages of the document in terms of what I want to share. So it'll only be 70 meetings that we take to get through it, but yeah, great point there. And again, it's great resources for me. So as things come up, I can use that and I can bring the relevant information to the group. Any other final thoughts there? Beautiful. All right, so in terms of major projects, we want to sort of keep sort of a more detailed conversation going. In addition to, again, the project updates, the CAZENOVIA Park playground. So existing facility photo here, through Erie County funds, partnership between Erie County and Councilmember Scanlon, brought $450,000 to the table. In that handout, you see, we're still working through the finalized paperwork with the county with regard to utilizing these resources. But over the next quarter 3, so starting now through the end of the year, we're going to be engaging the community on the design and the sort of plan for implementation of this playground in spring 2023. But some exciting stuff. I know there's been conversations with the city and a lot of great examples of what we think through this communication process. We're going to sort of find a lot of excitement around. Playground down in Hamburg has been identified. Just a couple photos there, but lots of cool equipment. Lots of exciting things. Some of the things we'll continue to talk about, but probably want to avoid roof structures within this, just because they're highly susceptible to vandalism, is what we found through some initial thinking. But there's lots of opportunities to sort of bring in cool features, have universal access with hardscape access all the way up to the equipment. And again, some special features that are fully accessible to wheelchairs, folks with disabilities, and additionally sort of bringing the whole spectrum from older kids all the way down to toddlers in coordination with the farmer's market, and all those sort of fun activities happening here on the weekend. And sort of get everybody engaged in this playground. So a great pot of money, great examples that we'll be able to dive further into. Really sort of what we've learned is this has been a very successful project and the basis of where we might start the conversation as we go. Any comments specifically about how we roll out the engagement on the playground or any of the specifics about playgrounds? I know, you guys love using playgrounds, right?
I'm there a lot. I have 4 grandkids and they love it. So
Yeah,
a makeover, that'd be amazing.
yeah. And I'm thinking about, so they're out there playing, good facilities for you to sit in proximity and be able to
As
watch
long as you
them.
don't get rid of the ducks because they like to eat the ducks.
The ducks.
The dogs are a big
Yeah.
part.
To work on how we coordinate the ducks staying around. I think they're gonna stick around.
Brian, if I could just specify as well, I think we're missed not to mention that Erie County legislator Don Gilmore is the person who secured this funding. He represents some of South Buffalo that wanted Amber, who's originally from South Buffalo. He was very committed to making sure he delivered a large amount of money for something that would be well utilized. So we're very excited for this.
Great. Yeah, so again, this will probably at the next meeting, we'll be able to dive into it, and probably once we get the funds flowing and consultants on board, probably be special meetings towards the end of the summer, try and connect with the people, meet people where they are in terms of having conversations about this. Like, so with that, there's a lot of information in the handout, a lot of project updates. We like this document to speak for itself, but it's sort of looking at the list of projects here. If there are things, again, there's a handout with sort of the brief updates. There's also the one pager on the Arboretum. So I don't want to turn the floor over to you guys in terms of anything you want to dive deeper into, questions you have about funding, scope, status, or timeline on any of these issues, but otherwise, trying to streamline these meetings by answering questions before they're asked on these issues. But sort of, I've got slides for every one of these, so if there's anything on here people want to talk more about. Yes, Stephanie.
How do people actually get this information?
We will email it following this meeting. Folks on Zoom, never fear. We will get the information out.
I have a question.
Yes.
So on an earlier slide, when you identify responsibilities of the Conservancy and responsibilities of the city, the last item under the city was security. So I actually live in the condos that are on Whole Acre. Yes.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah. So there's always this discrepancy when we call the police, whether the Senate. But these security issues are people going through our facility to get to Cass Park. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know, other than calling 911, is there any park security?
So again, in terms of park staff and Conservancy role, we don't do enforcement.
Right.
But again, being on the ground, we're the eyes and ears to some degree. We build a relationship with the police department. We also partner with the city on security cameras that are getting installed, some special security details, specifically around the casino in the area, the concentration of issues there. So in terms of that specific issue and sort of, again, crossing through between West Seneca into the city of Buffalo out on the golf course, again, the recommendation is call 911. There also, I got a slide a little bit later on another issue. There is a non-emergency number you can call at the city, and also document and log issues with 311, which is again a non-emergency sort of issue repository for the city of Buffalo. And I can tell you, I mean, Bob can certainly tell you, and Jimmy and Greg, those 311 calls, they get filed, they get distributed, and there's a resolution process. So it isn't just a black hole, where your comments go or your concerns go, to not get responded to. There is a really robust process to sort of follow through on.
Well, the
So-
interesting thing is when we call 911, police come, they say, we were drawing, and, it's kind of a rite of passage, and, right. And, excuse me, these condos are here then. And we don't have any objection to what goes on in the park. Because it doesn't affect us.
Sure.
And then, of course, the damage they do to the golf course.
I noticed security's been very good over there, but do they have radio? So in fact, that if she has a complaint or something, that they could be communicated with. I mean, it's no use to the guy riding around the park, there's no communications. If there's a problem. And the guy riding around the park, they're doing a good job because they're keeping the kids out of there. For the most part, at least they.
Yeah, they have been. And
Well, at least on my end, I'm down a little bit from you.
Same
But,
here.
but I tell you, it's 100% better than it used to be.
It is.
But they probably should have some communication. So like if she does have a problem, she could call in and this guy could probably take care of any of the problems that we have rather than.
I have
dealing
not
with the
seen them
police.
carrying any communication device.
So you
they probably
They
see-
had their own, they had their own cell phone, that's all I've.
Security's
Well,
there
I
every
mean-
single night though, right? From 8 o'clock until 1 a.m. every single
We
night.
can add that on the.
So there must be security.
Every six
Oh, there's
seconds.
security.
Okay.
Okay. But that's what I mean, you should be able to have some communications. They should do,
Okay, so
And so the security is arranged by the city, is it?
No, it's a
No,
private message.
it's Olmsted.
Oh, it is Olmsted. Okay.
Because I seen on the thing that said security was run by the city.
So that's again a great example of, it is the responsibility of the city, but the Conservancy steps up and supports where we can. We don't take the place of the police department, but where we can, bring resources to the table, be more nimble, be supportive. That's our role. That's our role.
What?
Yeah, they have 2 people at night.
What do they do? Where do they patrol? The park and the golf course?
The golf course.
Just the golf course?
Yeah.
So they're doing a good job.
They are. I didn't even know they existed. So they're behind the scenes.
Yeah, you'll see right at dusk, they'll do a search of the
On a
corner.
golf cart.
Yes,
Yeah,
Excuse
the
me,
golf
on a
cart.
golf cart.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We
Okay.
we would love it if the public would support us for actual park maintenance. It's a program that has been for a long time. We would love to see that.
I was talking to somebody from Elma Meadows, and they have park rangers, and they're not utilizing them out there. I mean, they're having all kinds of vandalism problems out there, which are getting trumped. So they're not using the park rangers. So if they're not using them, it's no use of having them. The present security seems to be doing a good job. From what I see, I mean, I don't think they should be expanded to the park or not. I mean, that's another issue.
Yeah.
Depending on much vandalism you're getting.
Even if it's
yeah.
about 15% of what it normally would.
Oh, it's gotta be. I don't see,
I have no,
I don't see anybody over there at nighttime.
Although my retirement fund of all the bottles, the returnable bottles is depleted.
Oh, well,
They leave them all over the lawn and yeah.
All right, so
So that's been better.
we'll tinker around with it. It seems like security is improved with the sort of
oh, absolutely.
extra layer, and so think about how communication, works and how we can build on that. But certainly any issues, you can, if there's any ability to have communication with the security, but also we do want to log issues that become repeat issues with City of Buffalo, the police department, 311.
Something.
That's-
See what they're with, or, who's responsible, who's
I would
responsible?
think through there is what's. It's what's. That's my belief, but I'm.
But I guess did the city lease that for, did they lease it or something? $1 or something, the whole Cas Park?
No, I'm talking about when the
It's
property.
where the Connor's are.
Property's right on
No, I
the
know
border.
it's, but if the tax, I mean, who pays?
Yeah.
West Seneca. The driveway is West Seneca, so yes, if someone's on that private property,
So again, like this is
Obviously, once the park comes in place.
within this section, say this is, this also is the city line at a certain point. through here. So.
That'll be Onondaga.
there you are.
Yeah, Onondaga is. the city.
But it's split half and half, too. You know,
Yeah,
how
one
yeah,
side
one
is city,
side's-
one side's west.
Okay. Any other final thoughts? Again, we've just gone through playground, again, we'll be hearing more, and then, you know, we've got, again, any other issues, or any other comments or conversations with regard to our projects update? Yeah.
Is the splash pad that's in the park area, is that part of the renovations also? Or are they, is that fine? I mean, we use that all the time too.
Yeah, so with that, part of the larger playground complex,
Mhm.
you know, there's that aspect where the city's responsible for the maintenance and repairs, but as we dive into the details of this project, I think we'll be evaluating, you know, the sort of master plan, there's potentially availability to sort of find additional resources for this project. So again, we're sort of keeping the vision open-ended in terms of, you know, what improvements we make, and there'll be more conversations about, you know, what specific improvements are made. Any other thoughts? Again, got the Arboretum on the park project moving forward. And again, you know, as we go forward, anything pops up, feel free to email me and Z in this regard. Hearing none, I'm gonna zip through all these projects. You know, I was ready for you in terms of talking through these projects. But again, getting into park issues, there were a few things that came up last meeting. So again, traffic calming specifically on the south side of Lawrence Pond, connecting to Red Jacket, Abbott, and Potters. We did in coordination with the city of Buffalo on adding additional speed humps through here, and I think it's not a matter of if, but when that gets implemented in terms of this sort of south section. Again, the concern expressed was that people are crossing south of the bridge, in the parking lot and the pathway network, or even amongst the pathway networks, and so coming around this bend, sometimes it's a little frightening for walkers. So try and slow down that traffic. So that again is in process moving forward. We'll keep you up to speed on that. Golf course benches, was brought up last meeting. Greg's already spilled the beans on the fact that we're going to be bringing in 4 additional benches. So I think I'm going to leave it up to Greg in terms of working it out where those exactly go. But I know bringing benches to the table or bringing benches to the golf
Senior
course.
teams are all set, I believe, so we'll probably looking for the men's team. The other places.
And how about the ball washers? Are any of those being replaced?
They replaced the one at 8. I noticed. I don't know if there are any other ones missing.
Well, there was
Ball
one,
washers on every hole, yeah.
yeah, there was one, on the ladies tee on 7.
Yeah, that one is missing.
All right. Well, I mean, you know, like this process, you bring up benches last meeting, we got the answer for you next meeting, so
That was
3
very good.
months, you know.
Nice.
Be looking forward to it, but yeah, getting benches out there in the park. Another issue brought up last meeting was related to the Gulroy Monument. This is, yeah, you can go out there, I mean, a great example, you got people sitting back there under the awning, the first tee is where I'm standing. Big monument right in the way, it's a monument to baseball, so not necessarily in the right spot. But again, as you mentioned, whereas highlighted the roles and responsibilities, the Arts Commission sort of manages all monuments and plaques and statues within the city of Buffalo. So the process begins with an application. So there's a 4-page application. We're going to get that filled out. In my conversations with the Arts Commission, there's a survey that was provided to me of this monument, and back in the 1970s, it was identified potentially, this is in the wrong location, please get to it. So this has been on the table for 50 years.
How long have they been-
Oh my
So I'm
God.
not sure, you know, we're gonna research, how did it end up here? Where's the right spot for it, and then at the end of that process is, are the resources available to get this done in balance with all the other resources?
Jimmy and his crew lifted up, get it out of the way.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, right, Jim?
it's pretty big
Whatever you
piece of
want.
snow.
Thanks.
A lot of underground.
So again, it's on the radar. We're gonna be working through again, just the paperwork side of it. And sort of figure out like if it's a light lift to get this into the right spot where it can be appreciated by people, who either have there's Mulroy Park, maybe that's the right spot, maybe baseball is the right spot, but certainly the golf clubhouse doesn't make a ton of sense. So we'll move that along and keep you informed. And then the last thing, again, sort of tying back to safety, security, enforcement issues. We're going to be talking about this in all the districts, but there's seen a uptick in homelessness out in the parks. Again, people are having a rough go of it, but again, living in the parks is not an option. So again, in terms of communication on that, there is the 311, the plane line, there is the non-emergency phone number for Buffalo Police Headquarters. Write that down. That's a good thing. If you don't want to, raise it to the level of intensity of calling 911, there's a direct line there.
And you speak to people on the non-emergency, I call them over 4th of July and they answer.
And they do log, the non-emergency gets logged just like.
So is the 853-2222 anywhere in the 716 area?
No, just anywhere in the city of Buffalo.
Anywhere in the city of Buffalo.
All the police districts.
Oh,
City Buffalo.
I mean, if you call it from. I'm not gonna knock right.
no,
I don't know
I
why you
understand. So
call it- I don't know why
again,
you
like the
call it.
West City Buffalo line is the question of whether or not to call it
If I could just say one thing real quick about non-emergency, and I probably should, I guess, let's say off the record. Personally, I think Homeland is my belief in most things. South Buffalo needs more manpower. We can always use more police officers. They're not gonna base it on non-emergency calls. And these are calls that in a lot of other districts, people will call 911 for. And then it shows the CB district has a way higher call line. They require more resources. I don't agree with that. So that's my personal opinion. If you'd like to know, I think err on the side of calling.
Yeah, just another aspect of how everything's cataloged, and so if you're not getting calls.
Yeah.
They're gonna say,
It's not a
the
problem, it
resources are gonna be
exists.
coming.
Gotcha.
All right. So those are the sort of four sort of issues coming out of last meeting. Hopefully, it feels like things are moving forward. But again, as always, we open it up for any new issues on the table. Got the ball washers identified.
Right, I just wanted to address one issue in case anyone saw it. I'll just stand up since I talked to everyone. I don't know if anyone noticed this, if they were anywhere near the casino. There were porta potties left for a significant amount of time. Jimmy was on top of it nonstop. What happened is there's a concert series in the park that was in June. It was sponsored by Councilmember Scanlon. It was organized by John Hart, the local musician, and also South Buffalo Roots, who runs the Irish Festival. South Buffalo Roots handled the porta potties. They had a contract with Modern. They were on top of it. I think it was when music in the park, that Saturday in the park took place. Modern kind of decided, oh, we won't have to pick up on Thursday because Saturday was fun. From then on, they just stopped up. And it was one of the craziest situations because they didn't care how much anyone called. They didn't care about any type of threat. I know South Buffalo Roots was calling them. Jimmy was calling them nonstop. Our office was calling them. Stephanie was talking to the Commissioner of Parks, who spoke with special events. They did finally come, and that is on Jimmy, who finally really pushed them to get here and clean them out. But I did want to let you know that, I mean, it was horrifying. There's soccer going on, there's the market, and it smelled, it's a health issue. It was disgusting. They just didn't really seem to care. I know the Irish Festival already canceled their contract with a different provider who has a good reputation. But also just further, the council members had conversations with Commissioner Finn about possibly ending some of the contracts they have with Modern because they obviously don't have a lot of respect for operating in the city. So should they be taxpayer dollars? Probably not. Further, they had a post on Facebook kind of bragging about what a great job they do at Lewiston at our park. What they aren't picking, and my understanding is this is an issue in multiple parks where they're leaving porta potties behind. So I just want to let anyone know if they saw that. That was not an Olmsted issue. It wasn't really city. I mean, we all worked on it. Just so you're aware, there have been steps taken though to prevent that from occurring in case that affected.
Anything else on people's mind? Wrap up a couple other. Yes,
You know,
sir.
last meeting you talked about traffic on the Ring Road over at South Park.
Yes.
Has that been, what has come back?
Yeah, so did you get the brief updates page there? Yeah, so I mean, there's really, sadly, you know, we're hoping to move this, looking to move this along quickly, but at this point in time, the only thing I can say is that the BOPC continues to work with city parks and engineering on final recommendations. Those need to go to council, they need to get approved by council, and then there's a process of you know, considering the future of the street beyond that. But until that happens, it's all kind of still in the works. So that's where it remains, unfortunately, at this date. But again, we'll be working with the city on a promotion campaign as soon as those decisions are through council.
I mean, is it safe to assume that most, if not all of the activities at South Park are right in the entrance of the park? My concern is if you close off traffic to Ring Road, some type of activity that is back further into the park.
In
People
general,
with handicaps are not gonna have access to the roads.
Just isolated, or in terms of
No, people, if you close the Ring Road to traffic at South Park, and there's an activity going on deeper into the park. I'm assuming most of the activities are in front of the park, in front of,
just along South Park Ave.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, my concern is if you close off the traffic to Ring Road, which I'm for it. But
Mhm.
that being said, if there's activities further into the park, people with handicap, it's not gonna be handicapped itself. Everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I do know in the scenarios that were laid out, if the ring road was closed, the loop, there would still be kind of parking access in from Hopkins and parking access in from Ridge Road.
Right.
Again, like you described, yeah, not
Right.
into the park, but at the edges.
Right, as
of
it
the
is
park.
now.
And then I think what's inherent in everything is if there's a special event, special events can have special arrangements, I guess, in terms of reopening things, you know, it's like, it isn't like the roadway is getting ripped out.
No, yeah, I
It'll always be
understand.
there.
Yeah.
That's a great point to make. Stephanie, do you want to add something?
No, I
in
was
on
just gonna say, it's part of this.
Yes, yeah, that is part of what is taking so long is emergency access.
Yeah.
You know, police, all those sorts of things need to be brought in on the conversation before decisions are made. But yeah, so good notes. So I mean, certainly something to be aware of, but you are at the end of the day supportive of you know, getting cars off the road from a recreational standpoint, or you're,
Yes.
you know, open to it. So. Any other thoughts on that or anything else on the list? All right. So just a little bit of wrap up. Just some exciting things that happened. Hopefully you guys were out last Friday, enjoyed the Buffalo Philharmonic at Caz Park.
I missed it.
Everybody see this?
Yeah. I heard it.
Great night. Kudos to go around on that. Oops. And then as well, you know, this happened just after the last meeting, but we got out and replanted the shrubs, again, keeping things low for sight lines around the circles, but getting some new vegetation out there with some volunteers out middle of May,
That is
with just a couple
absolutely
photos.
beautiful. That is
Great,
So
great to hear.
Yeah.
We got Eileen Martin joined us late, but she was up on the screen earlier.
Mhm.
She's the one who takes care of those circles, but we had some great volunteer help
Great job.
out there. So again, in terms of outreach, we're continuing sort of broaden our base in terms of where we communicate out to these meetings, but I think I'd love to open it up. We're gonna continue to talk about this at all the districts. But, we gotta get attendance up, or we gotta figure out a way to sort of streamline this communication. We obviously want to be here as much as the community wants us to be, planning these meetings in the room. But we don't need to beat a dead horse. Yes, Stephanie, do you want to add something
I
in?
wanted you to make that to at all the district meetings.
Yeah.
But it's 4 meetings in here for people. Make sure that it's 2 meetings there, 3 meetings there, it's kind of, and 1 rewrite. Because people come to. Is it too much? People coming back and forth, is it enough?
Because there's certainly that at a baseline, we can do this less frequently. We can also replace 2 meetings with an email, or a newsletter. If like summer is a bad time, I guess think as well, what season are you more likely to want to come sit in the room?
Probably in the springtime. So that's when things are gonna be getting done, is from springtime.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a big meeting. What's coming up for this season? Okay,
Maybe look at.
bookend it. So yes, maybe give you an update in the summer, give you an update in the winter, but spring in advance of things, get the ball running. People are excited about getting out of the parks, talk about what's going on, and at the end of the year, debrief. Does that make a lot of sense to people? I mean, I'm come here as much as you want. Okay,
I think Plain James Gift Shop is up there as a business. Isn't that considered West Seneca? Under the,
You don't have to.
Yeah,
If anyone wants to support our message, let people know they're coming to meetings.
So it's charity, so it's Potter Career Center.
okay.
right.
Potter
Oh,
Career
right,
Center.
yeah, at the corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry, just to this is a fluid list. We want to add more, and businesses are in there because I assume if you're a business near Cass or South Park or the circles or parkways in South Buffalo, you would want to know what's going on in your district, which is why we invited them. And hopefully, if they feel like it, they can put up a flyer in their shop so that there are visitors who, if they visit the store there, maybe they live nearby and they use Cass or South Park or any of the pocket parks in the area. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we want to add more to this list too, so that we can invite more people and get the word out there to give people the opportunity to come or sign up for the email list so that they can get updates.
Even if you know a good bulletin board somewhere. Like,
I
I
can
look
give
at
you a
these ones
list of
here.
businesses for the next meeting that I can, the pizza places, to be honest. I'm curious, that's where everyone hangs things that you really do when
Not to
you're ready
mention
to
the bars.
read it. Yeah, it really is. I think that's where everyone looks like,
It's in beer.
Potter,
That's
Potter
the
Career
key.
Center, right?
I know, they do.
Big bulletin board there.
Thank you, Peggy.
So you sort of get into that, where we want to advertise. And again, I think we, getting ahead of ourselves with these comments is, obviously we got a good agenda, but, maybe just that spring and fall might be the way to go. So we'll talk about this at every meeting. I'm just gonna see if everybody feels the same way. Yeah, certainly don't want to take people out of the parks if they'd rather be out there. Honestly, it's a little hot. The air conditioning, but yeah. So again, we encourage people using Facebook. Probably if we move to less meetings, there'll be more online communication happening. So again, it'll be even more important to be a part of our sort of social media network. But with that, we've been trying to streamline these meetings, and I think we've streamed this one down to an hour. So unless there's anything anything anyone wants to get on the table, give one last opportunity. But with that, I think we can call it a day.
Great job.
All right, thanks a lot. And at this point, that quarter 4 would be the fall meeting, so we may still have that.
Yeah.
I got pictures coming out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there you go. It's M as in fire. Yes.
Maybe.
Carol, very nice to meet you.
I don't remember the phone number.
Oh, yeah.